got me running, shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Raise your hands up, raise them up.
Good evening, and good evening again, and welcome to After Dark, the relationship show for big people. Yes, we are here again this week, and we are still unpicking and unpacking the conversation about sex. Yes, we are. So we are number 3 into the series. This is the third episode into this particular series. Last week the men were asking, they were saying, making comments about women and ironing boards and all kinds of stuff. So we started talking to the men. How much do you want a woman to take the leading role in the bedroom and in the relationship? Are you comfortable with that? What does it look like? You know, we want to know. We want to unpick that. We wanted to unpick that. So we started last week with the men. We also had a sex therapist with us. We had Chasity Chandler from the USA, who was very open and very explanatory, if I can say that word, if it even fits in with the conversation, about the elements of sex. So we started to really unpick lots of different elements. Many things were said from the male perspective. This week, we are going to be looking at the female perspective. So we're going to start off with the women, find out how they feel about the male. First of all, how they feel about taking the leading role. And then we're going to flip the script and ask them how they feel about the men being the lead in the bedroom and in the relationship, and see what we come up with. And then we're going to bring the men in and we're going to have an open and candid conversation. Now, this week we do have a male sex therapist with us and coach. He is a coach and covers sex therapy within his coaching business, and his name is Fidel, and he is here also. So we have 2 experts in the field this evening, so it's going to be super juicy. So before we carry on with the show, I do want to remind you to get onto your social media and share. If you are on YouTube, share, like, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. But we want you to get involved in this. So I want to welcome everybody that's there on our Facebook page. And I also want to welcome everyone on YouTube. Welcome to this show. And we want to let you know that we appreciate your support and wish you will support us even more. And let your friends, your family, and your frenemies know all about the After Dark show. Okay, I'm back, guys. I think we had a little bit of a power cut because the lights went off and now they come back on. So we in the UK right now, I don't know if you can hear me, but in the UK we are having some really strong winds. But I'm kind of guessing that you should be able to hear me now. Okay, so we're going to carry on with the show. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in the panel who are here. So if we can see our panel members, I'd like to bring in Chastity. Good evening, Chastity, all the way from the USA. Okay, good evening. We've got Shalomi. Hi, Shalomi. Good to see you here this evening. Faye Thomas Green, good evening. The women are coming in. Come on, the power. Oh, yes. We've got Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. How are you doing this evening? Good. Great. I can hear you well. Wonderful. Oh, we've got a man. Hi, Tony. How you doing? Okay, and we've got Fidel, our coach here for the men. Hi, nice to see you. Are we ready, or is that who we've got in the green room? Anyone more? Anyone else in the green room? Okay, so we're going to go with who we've got here. So I want to say good evening to you all. Now, I can hear some tapping going on. So who's on? Whose microphone is on? Let's eliminate the tapping. Right, wonderful. Okay, guys, so good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening for this conversation. So, Fidel, welcome. Welcome. Do you want to put your mic on? Let's have a quick talk with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited, man. Look at this. What a panel.
Good. So good to have you here. Fidel, can you just tell and let the people know you're the modern man as well? So let the people know a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah. So I'm a life coach and therapist. Mainly I work with men who have been through divorces and breakups or having a midlife crisis. That's kind of where I market at. But a lot of the work that I do is around guys getting back in the game. I run dating programs and stuff like that for people when they get to my time of life and certainly looking for that next journey in relationships and so forth. I run a men's Facebook community called the Modern Man Club. I run a women's Facebook community called the Modern Woman Club. And in both groups, we talk a lot about sex and sexuality, as I do with my clients. And so a lot of my work is around that sort of stuff now. I love it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
We are.
Okay, we're going to have a lot of fun. So for those of you who didn't see last actually before I even go any further, let me just bring Chasity in. And Chasity, can you hear me, guys?
I can hear you.
Yes, no, yes?
Yeah.
You can hear me. Chasity, just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for me, please, darling.
Okay, I am a licensed mental health counselor and certified sex therapist in the United States. I see couples.
Okay. Let me just.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
So again, my name is Chandler. I am a certified sex therapist in the state of Florida. I specialize in.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear Chasity loud and clear. It's Yvonne whose mic is breaking up. Chasity is coming through loud and clear.
All right. Did you want me to keep going, Yvonne?
Carry on, Chasity.
Okay, so my name is Chasity Chandler. I am a licensed mental health counselor and a certified sex therapist in the state of Florida. I specialize in LGBTQ plus issues, non-conventional or alternative relationships, so open, poly, I do regular couples counseling around intimacy, sex, and all things sex and intimacy related, conflict resolution, that kind of thing. I've been in the helping field for over 18 years. I am a 3-time author and I enjoy talking about sex. And so I'm all about sex talk, no chaser. So I am super excited about today's conversation.
Okay, so guys, thank you, Chastity. Can you hear me loud and clear? Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so we're going to move forward with the show. Seems to be having a few issues with the internet this evening, but we bind that because we're saying we're going to go on with this show and we're going to have a good show this evening. So, okay, so last week we asked the men what type of woman they would like to be with in a relationship. How would they like them to be sexually? And one of the comments that was made from the previous show the week before is that women can be, some women, let me put this right, some women can be like ironing boards. Okay? And so that statement, I can't relate to it. I just can't. But anyway, but this is what has been said. So this evening, we want to find out how the women feel about their sexual liaisons with men, what they like, what is beneficial to them, what they would see as why a man may say or refer to them as an ironing board. We also want to know about how women feel about taking the dominant role within the bedroom. Some of the men were saying, you know, yes, they would love it. I think Theo was on here last week and he was like, he's up for most things as long as he knows where the key is. He felt like quite threatened maybe if he didn't have the key or somebody walked off and left him in handcuffs. He was like, the handcuffs, no. So we want to explore how far you would be willing to go, what that looks like to you, and kind of reflect on what the men said. And then we're going to bring the men in. I think Tony said he would like a queen on the street and a how did you put it, Tony? A freak in the sheets. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. So and I think most of the men, I think Kellyanne was the only one who was really a little bit. He was saying that's not really for him. So we want to explore this. We want to explore a little bit of the BDSM as well. Whether I think we touched on it a little bit last week. Whether or not that would be something that's palatable for you ladies to exercise in the bedroom. Now we know that we are of the older generation. We are like 40 plus around that era, and so this is for us. This is for us to explore because I suppose when we were growing up, things were different. The way in which things were put across was different. And I'm just hoping that Michele is going to be able to come back into. I don't know if she's having internet issues as well. There's Michele and Herbie. All right, lovely. So we're going to kick off this conversation. We're going to open it up with the women and how you feel. Michele was here last week and obviously heard about the ironing board scenario. Right, but we are going to be talking about. So I want to bring in someone who's quite cool, calm, and collected, and it's right in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to bring in Cheryl first and find out how Cheryl feels about what we've been talking about. You're going to have to unmute yourself. That's it, lovely.
I can't find my mute thing.
I can hear you. If you're not speaking, can you put yourself on mute, please? Thank you. Come in, Cheryl.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, Yvonne. Now, I'm kind of with Tony. I'm a lady on the street and a freak in the sheets. Really, I kind of I do like to be dominant sometimes. A lot of the time. I'm honest. Yeah, but it's also nice to have a man that is confident enough to be able to allow a woman to be able to do that. and also for a man to take control sometimes too. But I definitely don't like vanilla sex all the time.
What is your definition of vanilla sex?
I think, I suppose that the normal wham down and it's done and it's finished. I think like most women, I like my mind to be stimulated first. And I think that's where it happens for most women, that our minds need to be stimulated, and then everything else goes, as it were, follows.
Okay, I can see a comment from Fiona Camp saying, hell yeah. Right, so there's some feedback going on. I don't know if anyone's playing with their microphone or what, but I can definitely hear a lot of distortion going on. Okay, so Cheryl, you don't want vanilla sex,
No,
and you like to take the dominant role.
I do.
So could I just ask, would you say that you are dominant within the relationship as a whole?
No, I would say that I think it's really different when you're older and you become more confident in yourself, and perhaps you've been single for a long while, and you're independent and used to doing things your way and in your own time. But I'm at the stage of my life where I like to, sometimes I will step back, but I kind of like an equal relationship. But it can never be totally equal. The reality is that sometimes someone will you have to defer to someone, sometimes. So yeah, so I'm kind of in the middle. Sometimes
Okay.
I take the lead, but I'm quite happy to let a man take the lead sometimes. But I like an equal relationship.
Okay, Faye. I'm going to bring Faye in. Thank you, Cheryl, for your comments. I'm going to bring Faye in because Faye has made some comments over the week. So,
good evening, everyone. Right, so I would say for me, I think I'm a very dominant person in relationships. I know what I want, I know how I want it, and for me, that's where I am outside of the bedroom. Now, in the bedroom, I'm a very adventurous person. My problem is that I don't find men that are as adventurous as I am. So there is a problem with that, and I like to be submissive in the bedroom if I am confident that the man in the bedroom with me is gonna give me everything that I want. So I will be the submissive in that situation. But where I'm not so confident that the man is as confident, then I will be the dominant, and I will tell him exactly what I want. So,
right. Okay, that's interesting. So, you're dominant in the relationship and you're dominant in the bedroom, but you will allow a man to dominate if he can.
yeah. Because I think some men are quite intimidated. I think some men are intimidated by maybe the size of me, or I don't know what it is. I think that sometimes they like what they see, but when it comes to that part, when it comes to the bedroom part, it's like they're a total freeze. I don't know whether they're I don't know what it is, but I'm a big girl and I'm not frightened of my size at all. But I find that some men, they like what they see and they're all about it when they see it on the street. But when it comes to the bedroom, it's like, huh.
Interesting.
It's a whole lot to handle.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Your honesty as well. I'm going to bring in Shalomi. Shalomi, come in for me, please, darling.
Hello, good night, everyone.
Good evening.
Well, for me, I definitely have to be in charge. And I like a bit of role play. I like them tall, bit 6 inch or over. And that's it. That's it, basically.
Is that 6 feet
I don't
or
mind
6 inches? I
6
just need to
inches.
clarify.
six
Okay.
inches and over. I don't do nothing under 6 inches. And yeah, I don't mind them being in charge, but I love being in charge. And as I said, only one rule. Only one rule. No back door. No back door. I can go through his back door because what should I say? My dream is to put a strap on and give a guy a good shag. That's what I want to do before I die. I want to shag a guy. Yeah, and that's an honest thing. I really want to do that. Right. But unfortunately, I've not met no one that is open to that. And I would like to tie him up like in them strings, one leg here, and just do all sorts of things. Yeah. But otherwise, from that, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. So that's me.
Okay. Thank you, Shalomi. Thank you very much for that. No backdoor. You'd like to dominate role play. It's got to have 6 inches or more. And before you die, you want to give a man in the back door. Okay.
A good shag, yeah.
A good shag in the back
Yeah.
door. Okay. Fiona says, wow, powerful woman. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Tanya Otimer says, oh, Lord. So we're getting the comments. Guys, do keep your comments coming in. Yes, Fiona, she shows characteristics of a Dom. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that either. Very, very interesting this evening. So I'm going to bring in Michele. Michele is from our married couple. As you can see on screen, you'll see Michele and Herbie. So Michele, come in.
I think for me, it's 50-50. But I think as for me, as I've got younger, I think I would like to experiment that little bit more. I think that's, for me, that's what it would be. Just a little bit more experimenting. Not too rough, not too, I think I would just take a lead in that if we were to go that way. But yeah, I'm fairly open, but there are limits, I think, for myself personally.
And do you think, Michele, that taking the lead sexually would lead to you taking the lead in the relationship totally?
No, because because we talk all the time, it's really shared. So a lot of our decision making is a joint thing. There isn't, I can't think of any time where I've sort of gone and done something without Herbie knowing or mentioned it to him before, or so it's shared. It's shared throughout the whole relationship, actually. It's very rare, sometimes we phone each other 6-7 times a day. Just, hi, are you all right? Or, and that's how we've done things from the very beginning, from when we first met at school, really. So
right. So you've carried that through
the
whole way through your relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I want to thank you, ladies, for your honesty. Now, in terms of what was said about women being the ironing board and women not taking part, it was said, this was something I think Kelly also mentioned, the woman taking more of a positive role in the bedroom. How do you, you've all said, most of you have said you like to dominate. So in my head, without putting words in your mouth, it would tell me that you would take the lead at some stage. Is that wrong, or is that right? Is that right?
That's right. That's right. I think I don't know if it's being dominant. I think it's just taking the lead. I think for me, it's just saying, well, this is what I'd like, or, do it this way, or, but yeah, because sometimes I think it's all in the name as well. When you hear dominant, it sounds like, oh, you're going to do this and do that. And for some people, it may well be that. But I know for me, it's not necessarily that. It's just telling Herbie what I like, or let's try this or let's try that. So yeah, I think it's in the terminology as well.
Okay. Okay, that's fair enough. And I think it's fair to say that and I'm going to bring I'll bring Tony in just slightly here. I think it's fair to say that the gist of what I got from it last week is that there is a distinct difference between the dominant woman and a woman taking the lead in a relationship. So that what we want to find out today is how willing are you to actually not only take the lead but dominate. Tony, is that right? Am I? I think that's what we kind of came up with last week. That it was more about a woman, not for you particularly. I think you're slightly different from the rest. I think both you and Theo were different from the rest of the guys that was on the panel to say that you don't mind the leading, but the dominance is a little bit scary. Is that? Have I got that right? Would you say?
Not for me.
No?
No,
Well,
not at all.
not for you. But I mean, generally, as I said, not for you. But that's a feeling I got from the men who were on here last week.
I don't believe that men will find a strong woman in the bedroom scary. I think there is some trepidation amongst men about sizeism. I mean, you know, I'm talking directly to Faye here, because I would talk to my boys, and I know some of them would not go past a plus size woman. Yeah. So you get that amongst the fellas. You get that conversation. Oh yeah, she's lovely, and she's too big for me. And I'm like, what do you mean she's too big for you? So, you know, there's definitely a size issue that some men are happy to go and work with a woman who's on the bigger side, and there are definitely some men who will go nowhere near that. As far as the word dom, that for me conjures thoughts of you know, a dominant and a submissive, which is whips and chains, yeah. Which I have no fear about that. Whereas what I think I was discussing in terms of a freak in the bed is just a very confident woman, and a woman who's willing to be as vocal as a woman can possibly be in describing what is ringing her bells while having sex, and all the other ancillary parts of sex. So the foreplay, the leading up to, the in between, so to speak. You know, because obviously once a man comes, you know, it's going to take a little bit of time, and at that point, he can still be pleasuring a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I think there are definite differences between a dom and a freak in between the sheets. Because a freak in the sheets doesn't necessarily have to be a dom per se, because I see that as a BDSM woman who wears the leather and the whip and all that. That for me is a dom.
Okay, all right. So we're going to bring in. I know that Theo was kind of shaking his head and blah blah blah, but just coming quickly, Theo. Then I'm going to bring in our sex therapist. I'm going to bring in Fidel next after Theo. Theo, just give me your insights as to how you felt last week was, in terms of, I think that most here was a general consensus that the woman taking the lead was a good thing, but not so much the dom. That's what I got from it. How did you get that? Did you get that last week, or did you get something else?
No, I'm pretty similar to Tony. I don't mind a woman taking the lead. It's not a problem being vocal. And the dom, yeah. When people say it's words, isn't it? Because we're saying dominating, so everyone thinks dominatrix and all stuff like that. I think Chasity just make the distinction between BDSM and dominating in the bed. I don't mind a woman taking the charge in the bed from the foreplay right through. I have no problem with that. No problem with that at all. And because there's only a few guys on here, most of the guys said we don't mind, and most guys don't mind. Most guys don't mind a woman taking charge, and because she's confident in what she wants by telling them this is what I want, do this. But some guys, I do know some guys that are a bit uncomfortable with that. They like to be, me a man, me a control, me do this, me do that. I know those kind of guys as well. They're man, and all they want to do is what they want to do, and that's it. Don't care what the woman says. I'm gonna get to her for the next 3, 2, or whatever. And they, what's the word that you say, Yvonne? 2 pumps and a squirt. What is it? I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. So they have the big chat. They say, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna do this," and then they go in there, 2 pumps of the squirt. They're done and they're fast asleep. Yeah. So ladies, I'm gonna say, be careful of a man that's gonna say he's gonna do this and do this to you, because you know what I mean. It's just most of the time, it's, as they say in Jamaica, empty barrel makes the most noise. So that's the ones you have to worry about. The man say, "Yeah, I'm gonna throw you down and this and that," and when he gets into the room, he's 2 pumps and a squirt. Then yeah, he's already told you what he's going to do in his head. He's already halfway done his mission in his head. So by the time he gets into the bedroom, he's only got the last 5 minutes left because he's already built up in his head. So that's all.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad that came from you, Theo, and not from me. But I agree with you there wholeheartedly. So let's bring Fidel in. Fidel, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this in terms of men? Do they prefer the woman just to lead? Or I know that some men love the dominatrix kind of thing, but tell me what you think in your wise wisdom.
So my kind of, the way that I work with relationships with my clients, and certainly in the bedroom, and the way that I deal with this also in my personal life, which is how I got to coaching other people, is looking at masculine and feminine energies. All right. And for me, everybody's got a mix of both within them, right? But in a heterosexual relationship where there's a man and a woman, one will always be more in the masculine and one will be in the feminine. That's what causes the polarity. That's what causes the sexual attraction. That's what causes the spark for me. And so the masculine in those terms will always lead. That doesn't mean that they will be in charge. That doesn't mean that they will be the dominant. That doesn't mean that, but they will lead the experience. They'll create a safe container. All right. So they will provide that safety and security for the woman to feel comfortable. And then they'll say, okay, take charge. But they'll lead that process and make sure that it's in a safe container. And in order to do that, you've got to be real comfortable in your masculinity. Like some of the guys were saying earlier on, most of us who are comfortable in our masculinity, we do not have a problem with a woman taking charge in the bedroom. What's really powerful is if a woman does that in her feminine energy, in her feminine power, taking control in that way, rather than in where it can get a little bit weird is if a woman steps into her masculine energy and then takes charge in the bedroom. A bit like Shell was saying, putting on a strap on. I have 2 rules actually, Shell. Nothing up my ass and don't hit me. Those are my 2 rules.
Yeah.
Personally, but yeah, I think when we understand that concept of that masculine and feminine energy, that brings in a level of understanding and a different understanding in this whole role playing part, whether it's in BDSM or whether it's just about being dominant in the bedroom.
Okay, thank you for that. Chasity, would you like to come in and just add to what Fidel?
Yeah, I'll add to what Fidel said. And I think for women, or high functioning women, as we call it over here in the States, women who are typically always in their masculine energy during their daytime, whether it's their job or their business or whatever. I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week when we were talking about being more comfortable, right? We don't want to be in our masculine energy. Most of us don't when we get home. We want to take the cape off. We want to let it all go. But I mean, if you're with a partner who doesn't have a lot of experience, or you know you're not going to be able to be sexually satisfied if you don't take the lead, I think that's probably why a lot of women might take the lead. Does that make sense? Because me, as far as the sex is concerned, which I know is a huge shocker, I'm more passive. I'm an active, passive person when it comes to sex. So I'm more wanting to be told what you want, or if it's a partner I'm already comfortable with and I already know, then I already know what to do. And by the way, my only hard no is fisting, by the way.
Okay. Thank you for that, So, as ladies and gentlemen, as you can hear, this is a very open and candid conversation that we're having today about preferences in terms of whether one takes the lead, whether one is dominant. And it's very interesting. And I'm glad that Fidel brought up about the masculine and feminine energy, because I think it's really, really important that we kind of tap into this and really go a little bit deeper into what this is, because there are certainly women who do function most of the time in their masculine energy. And I want to just ask, go to Fidel and say that women who function, as Chastity calls it, high functioning women who are in their masculine energy, do you believe that that is one of the reasons why they are maybe single?
Is that one of the reasons? Yeah, I think so, because you don't, when you're in that masculine energy, you don't really need anybody else, right? You're protecting yourself. You feel safe and secure, because the feminine really is after security, right? Is after feeling safe. And so if you manage to step into your masculine and make yourself feel safe, then you don't need that external masculine energy to come in and do that. And so you other men, women in their masculine energy quite often want a more masculine man, but what they don't realize is actually what you're going to do is repel a guy in his high masculine, right? Because those opposites don't attract. If I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm not looking to meet another Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're just going to end up fighting, right? So what I want to meet is a woman in her feminine energy, and because that's the polarity. That's what attracts. So if you're a woman and you want an even more masculine man, the thing you would want to do is to try stepping more into your feminine energy, and that way you'll become more attractive to the higher masculine man. Okay. Chastity, I'm going to just go to the therapist first. What does that look like in terms of, so for those women who are listening, who are high functioning in their male energy, in the masculine energy, what does that look like, a woman functioning in her feminine energy? Because many of the women who watch this show are single, and we want to work out what it is as to why there are so many single women. So I just want to put that out there to you.
Well, I would first say that being single, a lot of people are single by choice. So it's not like they're single because they can't get a man. Anybody can get a man. But are we looking for a good man? Are we looking for a man that can throw down in the bed, can throw down in the kitchen, that can bring in the money? I mean, like, can help take care of the kids. I mean, anybody can get a man. It ain't that hard to get a man. So I want to make sure we put that distinction out there as well. Just because you're single doesn't mean that nobody wants you. So I want to make sure that that's clear. But what I would say is, someone who is always or works a lot in their masculine energy, it may actually take some internal work to be able to turn that off. 9 times out of 10, that woman operating in the masculine energy in that way has been a survival mechanism for that person. This is how they operate day in and day out. And so in order to change that, and as Fidel was saying, it being a repellent, they got to know that. So oftentimes this is the woman who is being told that she emasculates a man, whether she's doing anything or not. Her presence and her energy itself typically is one that will be looked at as emasculating a man, or you want to wear the pants in their relationships and those types of things. So I think it takes a lot of self-exploration, a lot of self-work to be able to turn that masculine energy down and step into your feminine energy. So it's really okay. It's a common denominator in why my relationships aren't working. What is that common denominator? 9 times out of 10, that common denominator is you. And so if you take a look at you and do the work that you need to do, not only will I believe you attract the right man or the right partner, whatever your preference is, but you will have a more successful relationship. But I think it's work to be done. And I think for most of us, our high functioning women or women who are often in their masculine energy, you know, we got a lot of stuff going on for ourselves. So we're not necessarily looking at it as a deficit. We're looking at the man got to come in confident and strong in who he is. And my light shouldn't have to dim for him to be able to shine. So I think it takes balance and I think it takes work. But I don't necessarily think that is the common denominator as to why that woman is single. I think there's probably some deeper rooted issues and some things that have to be looked at aside from her just being in her masculine energy. But I definitely think it could play a role.
Thank you for that. So Okay, so we're hearing some different things here. So, and I thank Chastity for that breakdown of what she thinks in terms of why women would be single, and there are many different reasons, as we know. But I just thought I'd just throw that out there just to see. We don't know. Many women are asking the reason. Many women are saying that they can't find a man. They're trying and they can't find a man. No. Men are like buses, I believe. Sometimes there's a bit of a shortage and then they all come all at once. But there you go. That's just me. That's just me saying.
There's always going to be a shortage, though, if you got 7 to 1
Yes,
women to men.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very, very true. But then, if you move in a market where there's more men, then you're able to find more men, right? You just have to go where they are and not where they're not. That'd be helpful, wouldn't it?
Abundance mindset, man. I have an abundance mindset. There's lots of whatever it is you want, man. There's plenty of it out there. Whatever it is you're looking for, there's lots of it.
And you don't have to be in a relationship to get it, but that's a whole nother lie.
Well. So, ladies, with all of that, hearing all of those things, I think most of you have come through and have said the same kind of thing. You like to dominate in the relationship in the bedroom, allow the man to dominate if he can. Well, Faye's saying if he can. So I want to bring Faye back in because there was a thing about sizeism that was mentioned, that size may be an issue. And you said yourself, Faye, that if a man, if he can handle it, and he doesn't freeze up because you are of a bigger persuasion. So but there are men who love big women. They will not date a woman who is smaller than a 16, 18. They like big women. So what do you say to that, Faye?
I think yes, definitely there are men that like big women. I think for me, I think because I don't know whether those big women though are as dominant as I am, because I think depending on what's going on outside of the bedroom sometimes determines what goes on inside of the bedroom. So I think yes, the idea of a big woman is great for some people and they like that. But when you get to, for me, I can speak about my own personal experience. And for me, I'm a very good communicator. I do it all day long. I'm a very good, person in terms of adventure and things that I like to do. And I'm, out there. So I think having those conversations outside of the bedroom do determine what goes on inside. So as I said, they're looking at me and they're seeing what they like. They're having a conversation, and even that conversation might meet their needs. But when they I don't know what it is. Maybe they think I'm not flexible enough. Maybe they think I'm not, I don't know what it is. But for some people, there's just a disconnect. It just disconnects. And that's just in my experience. But yes, there are men that like big women. I don't deny that. But I think in my experience, sometimes that's just not the case. What they see on the outside and what they're getting is what they find out it is two different things.
Is that because of how you are as an individual? Like they see you as one way and then what they get is a completely different package.
Yeah.
So
and it's not because I'm doing it on purpose, it's just the way I am, I guess. It's just me. As I say, as Chastity said, it's like, sometimes you have to look at yourself and what you're giving off, and maybe that's the reason why I'm giving off one thing, and when they get there, it's a different thing. I don't know.
So
I'm giving off that power in the bedroom. I'm maybe not giving off so much of a power, and maybe that's intimidating. I don't know. As I say, it varies from men to men. There are men that really, really get into that and they really can handle that, and there are men that just have that disconnect.
Okay, and that may be because maybe they're not into big women, maybe, or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
It may be,
Tony, you got.
But obviously, they're seeing what because I think for a lot of men, what they see is what they like, and for women, it's what they hear is what they like. So I think for men, when you're seeing it dressed up and in its package and everything looks all tidy and neat, and maybe there's a Spanx going on or two or whatever, and it's not as big as what you're thinking, when you get into the bedroom and all of that comes off, it's bigger than what you're expecting, right?
Okay.
So then it's like,
the shock
I thought
element.
it was like this, but actually it's like this.
Okay. But you work it, right? You're working it. You because you are the dominant one. You like to lead, but you feel that they are intimidated by that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, right. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna speak to the men on that. I can see Tony with his hand up. Come in, Tony.
Yeah. So just in response, I've got some of my guys are on my phone messaging me as we're speaking. And I got to say, a couple of them are saying, look, we love a big woman. The comment says big women are on it, especially if you can pick them up and carry them around the house.
I like being picked up.
So yeah, I think there's a.
Come on now.
I think there's a definite liking for big women. The other thing that I always remember though is that, especially in Africa, so African men historically like big women. They they're not about the waif look, the skin and bones as we might call it. They like a big woman. They like meat on their bones. And there's a lot of my friends of African descent who definitely prefer a bigger woman.
Okay. So that might be the.
Hello.
So Tony, tell your friends. Actually, you can tell them we're coming tomorrow.
They're listening to you.
Okay, so guys, those guys who are listening on Tony's feed, be aware that we are coming to you tomorrow. So be very afraid. We're coming to join you tomorrow evening. So that should be very, very interesting indeed. So this is how we're doing this thing. So ladies, so I want to come into Cheryl, and then I want to bring Shalomi, and then bring Michele back in. Then we're just going to have this open and frank conversation with the therapists in it as well. So Cheryl, hearing this conversation, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that I think that the longer that you're in a committed relationship, I think for me, the better the sex is, because people become more comfortable, and you should be able to be who you are in that relationship. I think if you're not in a relationship where you've had time to talk, get an understanding, because communication is the key there. If you haven't done any of that beforehand, I think you're kind of setting yourself up to be disappointed sometimes, because also we have to remember that we're all individuals and people have insecurities. I find that there are some men who get very intimidated by a strong individual who can say what they want, and it takes time for them to feel comfortable and vice versa. So for me, the main thing for me for a good sex life is intimacy in its true sense of the word. And intimacy doesn't mean sex, it means being able to say what you want when you want to, and be comfortable in that space. So I think if you can find a relationship with that, I think it makes a difference to allow you to be who you are. I don't think, I don't actually think that that size necessarily makes a difference, because I think if you build a relationship and that person's in a relationship with you, they obviously like your size and they obviously like you for who you are. So, and I find that it's about being confident in your body. If you're confident, regardless of whatever size you are, then I think it makes a lot of difference to how your sex life is. That's just what I have to say on that.
Okay. Tony, you see your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the size aspect again, because it's very interesting that we're talking about this particular element of sex, because you might meet somebody when they're at their best. Their, you know, their body looks like $1 million, and 10 years in, 15 years in, couple of children down the line, that person's body has changed. Yeah, it happens the other way around, guys. You know, we're getting our beach body ready. We're going down the beach, and we've got all the muscles and the six pack. You know, listen, I'm 52. I struggle to get a six pack. You know, it's not as easy as it was when I was in my 20s. You know, I just had to blow on a piece of food, and the six pack was there. Now, jeez, I work till the cows come home. It's just not working the way it used to do. So size at different times in your life could be very different in how you interpret it. So I appreciate myself that, you know what, I am what I am, and you just have to accept me as I am, you know, little pot belly as and all. And I'm happy to accept you in the same way. Whereas there are guys where, you know, if you're 40 something and you're looking at a 30 something man, he's going to be a little bit bodyist sometimes. Not
What does that mean? What does that mean? Bodyist?
Bodyist, as in he's going to be very prejudiced to the type of body you have. You know, They want the boobs to be up. They don't want them drooping. They want a bit of back on the backside. You know, they want the vagina to be, you know, nicely controlled and shaped, and the bush above to be, you know, nicely manicured. You know, that's bodyism. That some guys are, you know, some guys, I hear this in chat sometimes. You know, you're like, oh, the hair was too overgrown. I think Fidel's got to say something on that.
Come on, Fidel, come in. Just come in.
I agree. I mean, look, sexy is sexy. Like, sexy is sexy, and it comes in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And when somebody is just in their sexual confidence and their mind is thinking about sex and they're positive about it and everything's beautiful and everything's lovely and everything's horny and everything's sexy and delicious, then you're just sexy. Listen, people walk past you sometimes and you might have a type, but somebody will just walk past you and like, damn. And they might not be like, they might not be that stereotypical beautiful woman or even the person, the usual type. But you know what? They just walk past you because they're sexy. So for me, I'm fit. I would agree with what Tony said, by the way. I'm 44. I box. I train every day. I do not have a six pack. I have a little belly. Still going on at my age, right? The six pack days are gone. And I also know what it takes to get a six pack. I'm going to eat chicken and broccoli. I'm going to be boring, man. So I prefer to have my life. So on that front, if I'm looking for a relationship, I will look for a woman who looks fit, because that's more of a lifestyle choice. But when it comes to having kind of casual sex, one night stand or whatever, and just relationships and something like that, I've been with bigger women and stuff, because from a sexual point of view, yeah, sexy is sexy.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Chastity's got her hand up. Come in.
I definitely agree with what Fidel said. And then as far as what Tony was saying about a manicured bush, same thing goes for us, especially with male-bodied individuals. You know, we always say if you trim the hedges, the tree looks taller. Like, that's a real thing, right? We want you manicured when we're going down and doing all the things as well. I mean, give us the same treatment. I don't know about everybody else, but I prefer a guy with no hair. Like, I don't like chest hair and all that taco meat and all that stuff. But I want you pedicured down there because I want to be able to go and play on the playground. You feel what I'm saying? So make sure that thing nice and tidy, just like you want my thing nice and tidy. I'm just saying that goes both ways. Get your mankini and all of that stuff, manzillion and all that stuff too. Yeah.
Boom. You're my kind of girl. My kind of girl there. I just have to say.
I would say I'm happy to tidy it for you. You know, if you're open to getting it tidied, I will tidy it for you.
Okay.
That's fine. You know, we can tidy each other. If it's not to your liking, we can do that.
That is like the ultimate intimacy right there. That is up close, real personal.
Absolutely. And how do we feel about that, men? That the woman says, you know, okay, come on now. Lay down. Let me trim your edges. Are we happy with that?
Depends what she's going to use, mate. Coming near me with a cutthroat, not unless I trust you, you know? There's got to be that's a whole level of trust.
So, Fidel, you're willing to have sex with him, but you don't trust him enough with a razor? I'm just checking.
What, down there? Yeah. Yeah, man. Whoa, yeah, correct.
Listen, I am a qualified hairdresser. I have been in the industry for nearly 30 years and I work wonders with a cutthroat. Just thought I'd say. Shalom.
I don't, as a man, I don't care. You could be a specialist, whatever. No.
But we know that.
Well, first of all, the garden needs to be tidied. Imagine going in a bush and make a joke upon your lip. It cannot work. Come on now. You understand? All this bush thing you don't know what's hiding. 40 legs, scorpion, anything can be in that grass. I rather the plain, clean shave, right? Smelling good too. You understand? One of the worst thing is for a man to have a smelly dick. That cannot work. And with all that hair, it's going to carry a bit of frowsiness. Let's be honest. Frowsy. Even with women, it's going to be frowsy. After you pee, the pee is going to catch up in the hair and you're going to be wrinkled. So come on, ladies. You have to clean it up. Clean it very nicely. The man have to clean. None of the hair thing. I cannot do the ear thing. None at all. Because after I don't want to be picking out my teeth. Like I was chewing bone and bone stuck in my teeth. So no hair. Come on, let's be real and no hair. And I want to ask which guy is up? Which guy would let a woman use a strap-on on you? Thea? Would you let a woman use a strap-on?
No, thank you. I'm free and easy, but no, that's too far from me. Nothing around there, thank you.
Nice.
Sorry.
I was just wondering. But at the end of the day, sex is something should be discussed. And one thing about Caribbean people, especially Jamaican, when it comes to the thing about sex, it's bam, cram, next time, madam, or probably never. Right? And as I said last week, that's why most Jamaican women cheat. And that's why most Jamaican men cheat, because they're not satisfied. You understand? They're not satisfied. Nobody talk about sex. Sex is a taboo. If you talk about sex, you're a whore, right? So these things are not touched. And I like to explore. And that's why I'm single. Because I met a man called Jesus and him changed my mindset. And I don't know if I can be faithful. Because I've never been faithful before Jesus, you see. I've never been faithful before Jesus. So my problem is, I don't know if there's a Dora within me that love to explore, and men tends to be boring. You know when you're having sex and they go that, ooh, that grunt does the mind, right? And most men is silent. You understand? And I don't know. I just like to hear the cool names, say all kind of stuff, and they don't. So for me, I like a bit of Dr. Fish, a bit of snapper, callaloo, cabbage. Sometimes you can't get fish on dry land. So I'll go in the sea and I'll come on dry land. So you understand? And I'm being honest, I've always cheat. And I don't call it cheat really. I call it, I didn't pledge to be loyal to nobody. And I've never kept one guy. I've always have a few for different occasions. Because most Jamaican man, they'll bang it, they'll not eat it. Some will not pay the bill. But as I said, I met a man called Jesus, and now I'm thinking, do I trust myself? And to be honest, I'm a manipulator when it comes to man. I've never slept with a man without a reason. Now I don't have any reason. I'm thinking, falling in love. I don't see no man that can make me fall in love. It's like I see them and I see a toy. So for me, as I said, I don't know where I'm at now, because I will meet a guy like I did the other day, and I just start flirting. And he said to me, I like you and everything, but you're a bit strong. You understand? You're too strong. And I'm thinking, but I'm just used to being a predator. I'm used to hunting. I don't like being hunted. I like to be in charge. So as I said, I'm just at this place right now where, to be honest, all this faithfulness and Herbie and thingy, I do admire you. I've never lived with a man more than 6 months. Never in my life more than 6 months. And I don't know. I get bored. I don't know. You understand? So unless I can be in a relationship, what they call it, and have 3 guys, which Jesus don't allow. So I'm going to discuss that with him. Yeah. And I can have 3 guys for myself, then I'll be all right. But otherwise from that,
Well,
this
there are
girl,
relationships that you can have those things, Shalomi, but you would have to meet the right person.
but Jesus does, you see, Jesus doesn't allow it. As I said, my mindset has been changed, right? And I don't play games no more. The thing is, I don't play games. And as soon as I start talking to a guy, I find myself going back to my bad habits. Like I'll be say, Shalomi, I'm not gonna do Shalomi, you're not gonna do this. Shalomi, no. And as soon as I start, I just find that Dora comes out. And I don't know how to keep Dora in. So I stayed single for over 10 years now. No sex. I'm living a dickless life. And sometimes I'm thinking to myself, why? Because one man alone cannot
So there is
satisfy me.
polyandry. There are things that you can do there, Shalomi. But the one thing that you mentioned is about going back to old habits, and you have to, we can work with you to break those old habits and create new ones. That is not a difficult thing, but you just have to be willing to do that and willing to change your mindset. That's one of the things that you would have to do. But there are.
I've never been vulnerable. That would put me in a vulnerable situation.
Not really.
Never
It's
been
a matter
vulnerable.
of you taking control, but doing things differently. If you do the same thing all the time, you're going to get the same results. If you do something different, you will change the result that you get. But you would have to be willing to do that and willing to go through the process of changing that mindset, if that's what you really want. But again, if you wanted to have multiple relationships, that's polyandry, and that's something that we will be talking about in the weeks to come through this series. So I can see Tony had his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to address what you've just said, Shalomi. I don't profess to be biblical minded or biblical in terms of knowing what the Bible says you are allowed or aren't allowed to do. And I guess I'm going to kowtow to Theo, because Theo, you're a pastor. But I don't recall anywhere in the Bible where it says you have to stick to one person. And I often tell people that the mentality of one person, one man for one woman is a Western or is a modern day thing. Because if you go back historically, polygamy and all of the other type relationships were practiced all over the world. So I'm not sure if you're, taking on a particular sect of religion that tells you you can only have one person. The other thing that I want to address with you, Shalomi, is I remember when we first started having this conversation about what we were looking for, had indicated that you were only interested in men up to, I think, was it age 40? So the thing
6
that
inches, I think you said.
Was it 40, Shalomi?
I put it to 44 now, because I see some 44 guys looking like 35. So I put it up to about 30, because I see some.
No,
I've been
she's talking
meeting
about
some
you, Fidel.
guys, and yeah, Fidel. Yeah, but looking at Fidel, and
You're not
yeah,
coming in with that strap
yeah,
on now. I tell you that.
yeah. As I said, it's just something that I want to do. You understand? But
So what I
you
was
know
going to
what?
say is maybe you might want to spread that age limit a little bit higher, because what I think you'll find is that men sub 40 are probably not as open-minded to some of the things you're discussing and are looking for as men above that age group, because men above that age group are a lot more open-minded in sex, I believe, personally. And perhaps Fidel
Well,
can help me on that one.
I don't know about that.
men, I see like older men, some of them don't do self-care. Like I find out that a lot of older men don't do self-care. And I can't, like, I don't have casual sex. I have to be into somebody. I have to see you first. I'm not after the mind. I'm after the body, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say I'm after a guy for his mind. I see his body and my eyes go, you understand? So I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm going to be honest. I see a guy and the first thing is his smile, right? And like in the gym the other day, I saw a guy and I said to him, your wife must be proud. You look so well. And he goes, I'm single. But I wanted to know if he was married. You understand? So for me, it's the appearance. I'm not going to lie. The appearance, I'd rather have a broke guy that look good than a rich guy with big belly. And I love money. I love money. But to be honest, I'm being honest.
Okay. Right. So we've heard it there. There. All the guys are just smiling like, oh gosh. Shalomi has spoken. Shalomi has spoken. But like I say, Shalomi, if you want to change those habits, we can work with you on changing those habits and for you to get a different result in terms of the men that you are meeting. So, ladies, we haven't really heard from Theo tonight. So I want Theo to kind of, in terms of that comment actually that was made about the Jesus thing and Tony saying about, there's nothing in the Bible, blah, blah, blah. If I just bring you in on that comment and get your thoughts on that.
Well, off the top of my head, there isn't nothing written in the Bible. Let's look at Solomon. He's meant to be the wisest man in the Bible. He had over 700 wives. You know, David had several wives. They all had several wives. There isn't. It says about marriage is about rather to marry than to burn. So it's rather to marry somebody than to have just have wild sex, basically. So that's what it kind of more pushes. It doesn't actually say you should have one wife. There isn't a scripture that says one wife, one man. It says you should care for. You said the husband should look after his wife and cherish his wife. It doesn't say. There isn't. I'm not top of my head. I can't. Maybe someone can. There isn't a scripture that comes to mind that says you should be with one person. There isn't. There's not one I can think of. Maybe somebody can correct me there, but I haven't ever seen a scripture or even heard a scripture that says that. Because there's been in the Old Testament, there's a lot of illustrations of most of the guys had more than one wife. So
yeah. Okay, so one of the scriptures that's come to mind, it actually talks specifically about a certain type of person, and it talks about a bishop, and it says that he must have one wife. That person in that high esteem, in that place, in that position, must have only one wife. It also talks about, the Bible also talks about living by the laws of the land. You must obey the laws of the land, and that's what it says very clearly. But in terms of the multiple relationships, I just want to bring some clarity here. Multiple relationships in the Bible, there were many, and there were many examples of a man choosing a wife and having concubines, which means several other women. However, in those relationships, that man had to provide equally for all of those women. He could not be saying, right, so this is my main squeeze over here, so she's going to have the house and the children, and then I'm going to have this woman over here, and she's going to be bruck. No, that's not how the Bible is. It's not how it's portrayed. And so in terms of what we talk about with these relationships of having multiples, if you are in a consenting relationship and you are all treated equally, then that's a different thing. But I think in nowadays, the way it is and the way that Western society is and the way that we want to think about it, we want to have all of the women, right? Because it is mainly about the men having the women. I'm just going to say that. It's not normally about the women having the men. But and this is just to bring some clarity, but mainly the men having all these women and they're treating the women with disregard. That can't work. And that is not what polyandry is or polygamy. That's not what it is. There is all about consent and it's all about equality and having that choice. So when we hear about these things, oh, it's the Western society, we have to get this thing into perspective and know that if you want to have, if you're a man or a woman and you've got multiple partners, you need to be treating them all equally and giving them equally as well. I can see Fidel's face. I think you want to come in. So come in.
I've got a few things to say. First of all, there was a lot of stuff there in the Bible that said men have to do this and men have to do that, but I didn't hear anything about women doing whatever the hell they want. So crack on, Shell. What and it's interesting actually on that point. Certainly with the men and women and my kind of experience in the more alternative scene with polyamory and stuff like that, like women as they hit middle age just have a much higher sex drive anyway than certainly even men. There's a lot of talk again. Men overestimate their actual sex drive in general. You know, there's a reason. Like I've been practicing on the last 21 days. I'm on day 18 of my 21-day no ejaculation challenge at the moment, which has been really interesting. But like so for women, it's a tantric practice, right? So as a man, we expel our energy when we ejaculate, when we come, but women get energized by the more orgasms that they have. So actually, you know, women. My belief is women certainly entering into middle age are kind of built to have multiple relationships. For me, that's a more natural thing, I would say. And a lot of the middle-aged women that I know, when they start hitting 40 and stuff like that, they're ready. They're eating men up, and going out and having a good time. And yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all.
Yep. And you know what, Fidel, you can come on here very often. You can always come back because now the balance, now we have some balance here because, you know, in conversations, it's more like the men and the, you know, the women don't want to have the drive. And I'm saying men's drive, sexual drive is at the peak when they're younger, women is when they're older. And so, you know, and that's why we have some women like myself who are just against the 2 pumps and a squirt and fall asleep. I'm just not interested in that scenario at all. And that happens. And Tony and I disagree on this because Tony's saying that men, you know, of a certain age, they've got it. And without the blue pill, then, you know, now they've got the blue pill, they can function in a way. But, you know,
I think they can do. But what it takes is a level of consciousness, and it takes us to be practicing. It takes us to be looking at things like Tantra and controlling our orgasms and becoming wiser and more learning about our sexuality, for sure. But if we just ignore it and carry on, the older you get, if you're abusing your body, if you're not eating the right diet, stuff like that, you know, you're gonna go limp, and you're not going to be able to manage it as well, and the natural course of things. But if you work on yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually, then there's no reason why we can't keep up. But it requires some effort for the majority of men. Some guys do it naturally, but I would say for the majority of men, it requires some sort of dedication to the cause.
Thank you for your honesty. Thank you so much.
Shabba says woman can't done. That's what Shabba says, isn't it? The woman can't done. That's what Shabba says. Woman can't done. So it's all good. 2 pump and a square, and just move on to the next guy.
Yeah, because
it's not a problem.
Yeah, because the thing is, you know, as I think we kind of hit on it last week a little bit. It's not so much if you're into the 2 pumps and a squirt. That's one thing, right? And you're able to get back up into the game and have a wonderful time after the initial 2 pumps and the squirt. And the second time round, is maybe, I don't know, 25 pumps or whatever, but there is a number to it, and it has a longevity, right? But there's another thing, and this is where some guys, and you know, I hear women speak a lot on this, is when there is 2 pumps and a squirt, and then it's done. It's sleep time. That is an issue massively, and this is why women will play out. And I can see Fidel's hand up. Come in.
Yeah.
Come in.
Well, one of the best books that kind of comes up with a theory of this is a book called Sex at Dawn. I don't know if anybody's read it. And the theory was that actually, historically, way back in time, it was a matriarchal society, right? So really, men fall asleep after having sex, so that women have multiple orgasms, so they can go and get sperm from lots of men, and that way nobody knows who the father is, and so all of the men in the village or the group will contribute to bringing up the child. So that's one theory from an evolutionary point of view. But yeah, the thing with Tantra and the thing I'm doing with this challenge and stuff like that, and I think is a problem sexually all around, is this just focusing on this endpoint. We focus on this goal. I mean, a lot of guys will go in there well-meaning, and they'll hammer away and they'll lick away and they'll bang away, and their sole goal is to give the woman an orgasm. And I know loads of women that are just like, geez, that's why women fake orgasms, because they feel like they're being targeted. It's like, damn, if I'm going to let him down if I don't do it. He's so busy. He's putting such an effort. And also men who just want to do 2 pumps and a squirt. If all we're looking at is an end point of an orgasm, and we're not being present, we're not enjoying the actual process, and all we're thinking about is penis and vagina sex. There's so much more to sex and sexuality than penis and vagina. That's kind of like one part of it, but we can do so much more. And there's pleasure in all sorts of other stuff, and it should last a lot longer when we think of it like that.
Yes, thank you. I thank you for that, because there's so much more, so much. Ladies, how are you feeling this evening after hearing all of these things? Because I really want to come back and find out where you're at in terms of, are you ready to explore a bit more in the bedroom? I'm not talking about, flying on chandeliers or anything else, but are you prepared to, have the conversation with, because I know that there's 3 single women here on this here. So 4, including myself. Are you willing to do more and be more exploratory and having these conversations first off when you meet somebody? Is it too soon to have this kind of conversation?
Can I just say something, Yvonne?
Yes, you can.
I was just listening to what Fidel said and how we spoke about this a few weeks ago. And, they were saying, the men were saying that the ultimate goal was to
That's right.
Have an orgasm, and to come. That was the ultimate goal. So it was quite refreshing, actually, to hear what Fidel's saying, because his point, or your point, Fidel, was spot on. Because sometimes I think it is that feeling of, yes, they've put in the work and they've done whatever they needed to do, and all the build up, but it was
it was
to bust a nut, wasn't it?
That's
Something
what
like
it was.
That's what we were saying. To bust a nut. Do you know what I mean? And I was just saying to Herbie, but that's what the guys were saying a few weeks ago. It's the ultimate goal is to bust a nut. And then I'm just thinking in my head that for some women, they feel away, and they feel that they have to oblige or they have to fake an orgasm. So the guy went, well, I dealt with this woman, now she's calm, and all of that comes into play, and that macho sort of thing comes in. So yeah, that is really, really refreshing.
That's why I say, Fidel, you come back every week. I'm telling you, love it. Because actually it's now the balance, because this is what we were saying, but we were being told, no, men want to bust on up. That's what they're, and we, Come in, Herbie, because you've been quite, we haven't heard from you tonight. Come in, Herbie.
I'm listening. Just going back to the this multiple relationship and partners. I understand, yeah, back in the Bible, Old Testament, and it was a way of life, and even still around the world, in a lot of unwesternized countries, it's a regular thing, it's a usual thing. Over in the Western world, we haven't been brought up that way. We've learned a different way of thinking, and those sort of relationships make it very complicated in terms of how they operate. Because the same, we use them because right. Okay, let me start again. Right, one man, one woman. Yeah. If you, because how I see sex or love making, yeah, is that you have more than a connection than just the physical side of it. Yeah. Now, to me, to have that in a multiple relationship is going to be, I can't see how that works. It just seems a bit complicated that you can have this energy flowing with different women, and I don't know. I mean, the guys that are doing this, can educate me on how it works, but I just find that a bit. I don't want to know how it works. I just want to just inquisitive. Yeah, in how you find it. What I mean, to move on from one to another, and what I mean, and coming back and having, say having 3-4 women on the go. How does that work?
Herbie, imagine having a dish, right? Oxtail, fish, chicken, pork, and you can just have just a bit of each. You understand? So just imagine that. Yeah, so you just have to imagine it. You have to have a big heart to love more. And let's be honest, it's not possible for every woman to have a man for herself. Some woman will have to share or go dickless. We're going to be honest. Because if we could beat around the bush, we could quote the Bible, or however you want to put it from now to the morning. It is not possible in 2020 for every woman to have a man for herself. Man short, woman want man, and man want man. So we have a short.
I'm not sure because there's a lot of single men out there and a lot of single women, and sometimes like me and Michele goes like, some single men and some single women. We think like, what's going on? And they say, no, I can't find no men. Oh, I can't find a woman. And we're thinking like, they're there.
Because what I've found, I've seen a lot of single men, but they're in the wrong body type. Right? So I've seen a lot of single man, but they're just in the wrong body type. I'm gonna be honest, right? There's a lot. I get picked on a lot, but I look at them the other day coming from the gym, this nice Range Rover drive down, and he stopped in front, and I saw his belly. And I thought to myself, you might meet in an accident because the belly was stopping the steering wheel. And as I saw him, I knew I was going to give him the wrong number. Yeah, I'm being honest. As I saw his belly, I knew I was going to give him the wrong number, which I did. And he looked like he had everything going, but his body type was just wrong for me. So yes, there is a lot of single men out there and a lot of single women, but the body type ain't matching what people are looking for. So let's be honest.
Well, that might be people looking for.
I think.
I mean, I don't know what they're looking. Sometimes I don't know what they're looking for, or they even get what they're looking for and they don't want it after a while.
And sometimes I just have to say to the women, especially, and also to the men and single women, and sometimes we just don't know what we want. We say we want one thing, and then we actually want another. So, and I say that because every week, I mean, I think we're on week 21 or 22 of doing this show, and every week I take notes every week, and some of the things are so conflicting. I'm like, but didn't they say this? Didn't they say that? So it's clear that it just depends on which way the wind is blowing as to what decision you're making as to what you want. But
That's everything about the feminine, though, isn't it? You know, that's the woman's prerogative. You can change
Absolutely.
your mind.
There's nothing wrong with it, but
But
we have to be clear, because then we're men with the women. Let me just say for the women, then we have the men bashing. Oh, but they're this and they're that. But actually, you don't know what you want because you're not being clear, and we have to be clear. But equally, on the flip side of that, there's men that do the same thing. So the men who are going, yeah, you guys do the same as well.
Not that much.
Fidel.
Most guys are pretty consistent what they want and what they like. Most guys. We don't really switch and change. I haven't met those guys that change what they like or what they don't like. I don't know those guys. Maybe you've met them. I don't know.
Because when men talk,
I'll be honest with you,
men talk to men, they're talking from the masculine. But in order to find out more reality, talk to a woman, and vice versa. You'll get more truth that way.
I mean, I'm talking personally. I have mentioned many a time the things that I like, the companionship of a woman. I've never mentioned what she got to look like, because I'm not that kind of. I'm not bodyist. B, I'm not colorist. I'm not. There's a lot of things that I don't put. I'm not. I am a little bit ageist only because I am senior. I'm 52, and therefore I don't see the point in me being involved with a woman in her 30s who might potentially want children, because I've got my children. I'm not into looking at women who are potentially looking at somebody who can be a baby father, basically. But most of the other things.
So what you're saying, Tony, that the appearance of the woman don't really matter to you that much?
Appearance is important, of course, because there's a physical attraction. There's always a physical attraction. But I can be honest, that physical, I find Chinese women attractive. I find Indian women attractive. I find black women attractive. There's no race of women that I go.
I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about body type, like what a woman looks like. You don't.
No, I don't have that. I don't have that. I've been out with women who are big, plus size women, and I've been out
short.
with skinny women.
You don't mind if she's short.
So I'm not bodyist at all. Short, tall, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Okay. I just want to interact there, because there's been some messages in regards to Fidel. Fidel, can I ask you a personal question? Are you single?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Because
you're in trouble now. You're in trouble now. You're in trouble now.
Because
I also want to address a couple of comments that the 21 days you can still have sex. That's kind of the point of it as well. It's just no ejaculation. So as I said before, sex is about more than just that endpoint. So everyone's like, oh, well, we'll wait until 21 days. Not that I'm inviting anything. I'm just saying that the point of this is that you're supposed to interact and have sex as well during the process.
Right. So I just thought, because I saw that. Hold on. I saw the comment come up. So after your 21 days,
you have a queue. You have a bugger.
There's a queue on the comment on Facebook and on YouTube. We got a little backlog. So all that backlog that you've got, that you're backing up, my brother, there may be a release for you. There may be listen. This is how the show goes. This is how the show goes. Fidel, hold on, Salome. Hold on. Let me finish talking. Yeah, so there may be a little bit of a backlog there for you, Fidel, because you are the new guy on the show. So, they are, you're fresh meat, darling. You're fresh meat. So I just thought I would point that out as the comment threads are coming in. I just want to thank those people who are putting the comments on Facebook and YouTube. There are lots and lots of comments there. There's a couple of comments there from Delroy I do want to pick up. So if I see a phone number coming up. So if we can put those comments up from Delroy on the comment thread, I would appreciate that. Shalomi, come in for a moment.
Fidel, do you do phone sex? Because you're in the US, I'm in the UK. Do you do phone sex?
I'm in the UK. I'm in Bristol.
Lord.
Oh, damn.
Fidel, why you say that, man? Why you say that, brother? Why you gonna say that, man?
Okay.
Fidel, why you gonna say that?
No,
I'm easy to find.
Don't say that, Fidel. Oh, God.
Because Fidel, the garden has been closed. The garden has been closed. And
Yes.
there are roses like ready to be trimmed, and you understand.
Listen.
No water hasn't run down Jerusalem for quite a long time.
Okay.
And I'm ready to climb the wall of Jericho.
Okay.
Walk around it and shout several times
The guys
until it falls down.
This is for you, bro.
So I want you to get my number.
Hold on.
You really look like something I'll do. Yeah, Fidel. Get my number, Fidel. You look like someone I'll do. Like, you look tall, you look firm.
Okay. So ladies, wait, listen, we've got somebody in the States actually. Kim Samram says, wait, does Bristol have an airport? There you go. Listen, yes. Oh, and he said yes. So Fidel, you are up for it. And Tisha said Bristol's not too far to travel. LOL. Listen, Fidel, you are the new guy. Listen, this is why we have been looking for some more men on the show. We've been doing this show since lockdown. And I do believe from this show tonight that lockdown has definitely had a significant effect on some of the ladies.
It has. Like I said, I run a women's group and it's getting hot in there. There's like 700-800 women in there. And with the last few months, you can feel the energy building.
Yeah, Tony wants to join. He said, how many?
Yeah, I think there's about 700 women and me.
Huh?
So you were
Did you say 700?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll send you my number.
Oh, wow. Now there's some people. I shared this on my Facebook, so now there's some people that I know that are going to come on here. I'm about to get roasted as well now.
Don't
So
worry.
I have to call you Solomon then. Forget Fidel. Solomon now. 700 women and a concubine. Jeez.
No, that's not what the group's about. But it's the temperature has been rising in there during lockdown. And like I said, that's because I think, and even more so, I think a lot of the guys are switching off and the women are switching on. Like I said, especially at our age, at a certain time of life, I think women come into their own at this point.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, we have gone slightly off topic, but I'm just allowing this to go because it's just organic conversation, which I think is really, really good and really effective. You know, they've got some people saying 700. Wow. You know, you are perceived as a don, Fidel.
Yes.
You are the don. Gargan, as they would call it back in the day. And Theo's taking off his hat. You've got a round of applause from Tony. You know, so listen, when we pick good, we pick gold. And Fidel was a friend of mine actually connected Fidel and I together. So and she said to me, this is the good match for you, really good match. So thank you, Vivian Joy, for the hookup and the link up. Thank you so much for that. So, ladies, I'm going to come back to the ladies because this is about the ladies and how they feel. We're coming into the last half hour of the show. So I really want to get a sense of where the ladies are from this show and how they're feeling in terms of, you know, taking that role. I mean, and most of you have said that, yeah, you're up for being the dominant person in the bedroom. What does that look like to you? Anita Manning saying, yeah, Fidel's the Pied Piper. Go Fidel. See, listen, you know what happens? Normally, every week, somebody gets this. It's the golden mic. And even though the lyrics have not been dropping, I do believe that the person who's going to get it, well, actually, Shalomi's been dropping lyrics, as always. But I think, Fidel, you're in good stead for this mic tonight. The golden mic. Yeah, it's, you know, but we'll see by the end of the night who is going to get the golden mic. Okay, so ladies, come in, tell me how you're feeling in terms of this. Do you feel any less confident or more confident to take the role, the lead role in the bedroom from this conversation in terms of what men want? Any one of you can come in. Faye. There you go.
I think I'm very confident. I'm confident outside the bedroom. I'm confident inside the bedroom. I am that girl. I've done it on a few occasions. I am that girl that will put on a Mac and drive to wherever I need to get to and do what I need to do, put my heels on and do all of that. I am, as I say, I'd like to think that I'm very adventurous. My problem is finding men who are as adventurous as I am. And that's where I find I have issues. They are, you know, and I don't know if it's because of the age group of the men. Maybe they're a bit set in their ways or whatever, I don't know. But I no longer want vanilla. I'm in my 40s. I'm at that time. I no longer want vanilla. I want, you know, metropolitan. Is it metropolitan? I want all of them together. And I'm prepared to put that out. I'm prepared to go as far as we need to go without, you know, hurting each other, of course, and without causing injury. So, but my problem is finding the partner that does that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your honesty. And I actually, I'm gonna have to side with what you're saying there, Faye. But I'm not gonna say what I agree with. I'm just gonna let Cheryl come in. Cheryl, come in. Are you still on mute, Cheryl? I can't hear you. Can anyone hear Cheryl? No. Okay. Are you on? Oh, you turned your mic off. Okay. If we can't hear you, you might have to log out and log back in. Right? So if you log out, log back in, and then we'll come back to you. Shalomi, what are your thoughts?
Well, finding men, most men in their 40s and 50s, I see, they don't really want serious relationship. They say it, but honestly, by talking to them, you realize that lots of them have been in long relationships and they're just finding themselves. A lot of black men is not open for adventure. The most adventure they will do is bedroom and all of that. They will say, yeah, they want a woman in charge, but only to a little limit. They have a cap on it, right? To how much you can do, right? I get to understand that a white guy that's not racist for me to say white guy, am I? A white guy, I get to hear that they're quite adventurous. My problem is, no, I'm not going to say it, I might get in trouble. I'm going to leave that one. Yeah, I'm not going to do that one. Yeah. But my problem is I love my coffee black or with a bit of milk. Yeah, if I'm allowed to say that. So for me to learn a lot of things, I might not know because black man just limited, man. I don't know why they're not open to a lot of things. Right. And for me, I like to be in control. I don't, as I said, if I get the right man to make me vulnerable enough for him to do certain things to me, you just never know, because I've never had that man that can make me vulnerable. But if I find, what is Tony saying no about?
Can I interject, please? Can I please
Go
interject?
on.
Yeah.
Go on, Tony.
We had this conversation a long time ago. Yeah. There's a thing called Big Black Cock, BBC. Yeah. That there part of Pornhub or that part of the sexual thing, black men are the dons. When it comes to sex play, there's a certain element that no other race can talk about, because we don't have a white man's cock, we don't have a Chinese man cock, we don't have an Indian man cock. We have black man, big black cock. Yeah.
But not all
So
black
when it
men are
comes to
big.
sex
Can
play-
I just say that? Not all black men are big. Let me just say that.
No. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying there's an element of sex play that a lot of black men are very active in. Yeah. So
Well,
to
where are
say
they?
that black men are not experimental, or we don't have X, Y, and Z in our game, I don't believe that's true. Sorry.
But Tony, you just said to me you want to let me use a strap on you. I've not met a black man that would let me experiment that strap on. This is my life dream and my life goal. Just to have a guy, right? I'm not even
Shalomi. You're not gonna find many men that's gonna want you to do that to them. Unless they're bisexual or something, you're not gonna find many straight men that's gonna want that.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Can I just interject there? There are men out there, black, white, Asian, Chinese, who enjoy having a woman put a strap on and giving it to them up the arse. I'm just going to be honest with you. There are, you know, we got to be open and we got to think out of the box here, because just because somebody says they don't doesn't mean they don't. Let's just be honest. Some men do not feel comfortable admitting those things, right? And some men do. But there are men out there equally. Georgina Williams says, many black men have no game. Absolutely. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but so do many white men, Yvonne.
Hold on.
That's rubbish, because there ain't no such thing as big white cock.
Tony,
we don't see that as a subsection on Pornhub.
Tony, this is not your time to talk.
Shalomi.
This is not your time to talk.
Shalomi.
At the end of the day, you have to give other people their chance to give their experience, just because it's not yours. And this is something that we go through every week. People have their own experiences. The lady said, and that's from her own experience, that the black men that she's been with don't have any game. You have to accept that that's her experience.
Shalomi.
It's her experience.
Can I
Simple.
Shalomi? Can I answer Shalomi?
Yeah.
The problem you might be having, because you're looking at men's body, those guys that you've been turning away might allow you to do what you want to do, but you've been turning them away, so you don't know. The guy with the big fat belly, you might have loved it. You don't know.
I like a bit of challenge, and I like to get a masculine man down. If I can just get a puny man to do anything, I don't feel like I've done nothing. I need a man like Tony to get him on his knee, hanging over my bed and have him making some groan, and then I would think to myself that I've had a job done. If I can get just any little puny guy, right, I want to have a guy like Tony, like, a masculine guy. And I want him with his two legs resting on my shoulder as I pull him in and out on my drop on.
Okay,
right?
so let's move on from here. Let's bring in some. Cheryl's back.
It's a heavy sacrifice.
Cheryl, let's bring Cheryl back into the conversation. Cheryl, we didn't get to hear what you had to say, and then I want to bring in Michele, because we're winding down the show now. So Cheryl, come in.
Well, I suppose the first thing I'm going to say is, Fidel, watch out. Prepare yourself, brace yourself, as they say, incoming. I have to say that, for me, one of the things we're talking about with multiple partners, I don't want a man that's sharing his bodily fluids with someone else and coming home to me. I'm sorry. That's a major turn off. I would like to think that whoever my partner is, that I can do whatever it is that I feel like doing with my partner and vice versa. So that's my main thing. As far as being dominated, there are some men who are intimidated by women who say what they want. And that goes across all races, I think, or all ages. And I think the older the man is, I think the more set in his ways sometimes he is as well, and less open to trying new things. So that's just my thoughts on that. So, yes, but the older I've got and the more confident I've got, the more I say what I want. But for me, that conversation is for someone that I'm in a relationship with. I don't do casual sex. So yeah. So that's basically where I am with that. And like I say, I like to do it. And sometimes, a lot of the time in the bedroom, not out of the bedroom, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I was just having a little bit of trouble hearing you a little bit. Can hear some disruption on the thread. So, Michele, I want to bring you in. What are your thoughts?
I think it's different strokes for different folks. It's what suits you, you know, and I'm good. I'm good. I definitely feel, as I said earlier, that, you know, I think as I've got younger, things have changed over the years for the better. And I think it is about being more confident in who I am. I know that my eating habits have changed for the better. You know, I know that I'm exercising, I'm doing things differently. So I think I would definitely like to do the bed talk differently, slightly different.
Okay, thank you, Michele. Thank you, Michele. I think we've heard a lot tonight. I think for me, and there's been some comments there. I believe, as much as Tony doesn't want to believe that, and for whatever reason he would say that is your reasons. But from a female perspective and from my own perspective and my own experiences, I believe that, and again, it's my experiences. Can we turn the mics off, please? Because I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Mr. Sound Engineer, can we turn those, put everybody on mute? Thank you. Yeah, so I have to say that there's been a few women who have said that they have found that black men are not as adventurous. And I have to agree that once, in my experience of men, black men, they are not as adventurous as their other counterparts. I'm just saying, and that's what I found. And I'm not going to take back that talk. That's my experience. Also to say, I think there's been a couple of comments on the thread that's saying, with the BBC statement, the big black cock, not all black men have big cocks. And there are white men, Asian men, and Chinese men, and all different kinds of men who have big cocks too. It's not exclusive to the black man. I know that there is that thought, and yes, we want to believe that. But equally, there are others who do have big cocks too, and that's again from the experience of women. And what I want us to do, because one of the fundamental things that I find in our talk a lot is that when some information is given, we don't want to accept it. We don't want to accept the other person's point of view. And we must. Because if we don't, we will never grow, ever. You know, women think about things differently. And I'm sure Fidel will back me up here. Women and men think differently. Our experiences are different. Like the thing that was said about women being an ironing board. Many women are like horrified at that thought of being called an ironing board. But from the male perspective, That's your experience. So we can't take it away from you. That's your experience with the women, some of the women that you have been with. Can't take it away. We just have to accept and then look within ourselves and think, well, am I that woman? Do I behave like an ironing board? We have to do that. And that's the only way that we're going to grow. It's the only way that we're going to develop. If we constantly say, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Then there's no room for growth at all. We have to be open. We have to be fluid in everything that we are going through. We are at an age where we want to join relationships and grow and develop, better relationships that last. Some of us are divorcees. I'm a divorcee. So the relationship that I want to go into, I would want that to be a lifelong, lasting relationship now. But if I don't listen to what you men are saying, and I'm just in my own head, no, it's this way, no, then that relationship is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to grow because I'm not open. I'm not open to correction, open to things changing, evolving, because things do, and everybody is different. So we are coming into the last 9 minutes of the show. And I just want you guys to just give a second, no long epistle. We're not asking you to preach a message, just a short, concise thing that you have got out of today's show. We are, and do that quickly because I do have an announcement. So I am going to go to Shalomi first because I normally leave Shalomi till last. So Shalomi, come in first. Just give a brief summary of tonight's show for you.
Well, it's quite good because hearing everybody different opinion on what they like, and it's very educational, if I might say. And I did enjoy it. And Fidel, I think we can start a thing.
Okay. Theo, come in, please.
No, it's always good. It's good to have Fidel on to give us a different perspective from a male as well. So it's good for that. But yeah, I'm always learning every week, so it's good. I'm enjoyed it.
And what have you learned?
That Shalomi wants to give a man. She wants to use her strap on, and she's very adamant about it too. That's what I've learned.
Okay, thank you very much. Tony, come in. Is Drew chuckling away? But Tony, come in, please.
Well, I have honestly got to say, in all my life, I've never been propositioned the way that Shalomi has propositioned me today. I consider myself to be very, very open-minded because I know there's a lot of comment I notice in the chat about black men and their open-mindedness, and I really do honestly believe that a lot of black men are open-minded. I'm not saying that it's all men, and again, but I do know that there's a lot of guys like myself who are quite freaky in between the sheets. Yeah. When I was in my 20s, I could guarantee I used to go out with a bagger man. Yeah. And we used to get gal. And the stories we used to change, and Fidel be happy to help me out with this, and Theo be happy to help me with this. But I remember in my 20s, when I used to meet up with the boys and we used to talk about our sexual exploits, girls were getting thrown around Chandler for fun. Yeah? I remember back when I was in my 20s, we used to rent out a whole floor of a hotel. And bare madness would go on. And it's bare black man. Pure black man. Yeah? And X amount of gal. Yeah? So I don't know where these quiet black men are, because I used to roll with some ballers. Yeah? So
Can I just ask a question there?
Of course you may.
When these men were like swinging women from chandeliers and that, were you in the room at the time? Did you see it?
Right. Damn right.
So you were there witnessing. So you had an orgy.
Yvonne, I was young.
I'm just asking. Yeah, but we're not talking. Yeah, but we're not talking. Actually, the men that we're talking about, we're not talking about 20-year-olds. We're talking about 40-year-olds. That's 20 years on.
Okay, so what are you trying to say? That they've suddenly forgotten. They've suddenly forgotten how to play with women.
No, what I'm saying is that lifestyle changes things. Lifestyle changes things.
But sex
and
is
if
sex.
you no, it's not.
Sex
If you don't look after your body, then your body will not function the way that you want. But you may look after your body, but not every man does. Not every man. Not every, and that's look. Self-praise is no recommendation.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say that. Good. But I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is the general consensus on this thread here, right, of all the women on this thread, if you put them all together and they are collating evidence, right, they are saying
black men
right,
are not
they are.
adventurous.
This is what they're saying. So therefore, you have to go with the collective. Because
I'm saying I was with the collective.
That's a general experience.
I used to roll with the collective.
Well, you didn't.
Theo, come and talk
clearly you didn't. Clearly you didn't.
Somebody, please.
So we are now moving on because this is not the Tony show. We're moving on. Faye, coming with what you. No, we're done. Look, we've only got 4 minutes left. Faye, come in.
Tony, you're just. I'm just.
Thank you, Deborah.
We're talking about men in their 40s and 50s. We're talking about men that that for us women, we ain't looking at men that are in their 30s and 20s. If I wanted a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, that's where I would go. But I'm talking about a man that's mature, that's in his 40s, that's in his 50s. I'm telling you, that's not my experience. And on the thread, it's not the women's experience, Tony. You have to listen. Because these are our experiences today. You can shake your head all you want to.
Okay.
Tony, you've had your talk. Tony, you've had your talk. No, you've had your talk. No, we haven't got time.
Because you don't.
Tony, we do not have time. We do not have the time, Tony.
You don't know what circle I'm moving, Tony. How can you tell me what circle I'm moving?
Okay.
No. You're wrong. Because you can't tell me what circle I'm moving. You can't assume what circle I'm moving in.
Have you been on the swinging scene?
You can't tell me what circle. Tony, yes, I've been on swinging scene. I've been to sex parties. I've done all of those things. And let me tell you something. Those men are not looking. Those men are not looking for what I'm looking for. Is what I'm saying.
But are there black men?
Those men are looking to swing. Those men are looking to have go sex parties.
We need to wrap it up now, guys. We need to wrap it up. You guys need to be obedient on here. When I say no, I mean no. Yeah, because you're disrespecting me, and I will not have it. Okay, so it's time to move on. Thank you, Faye. Cheryl, can you give me your last input? We've only got 2 minutes left. You've taken other people's time.
Basically, I've learned what's in my experience. A lot of black men say they don't do things in public or with their friends and do the same thing in private. Totally don't take it personally. It's a general consensus. No one's talking about you in personally. And I do think that the older men get, I think they are less inclined to be adventurous. That's my kind of take of it. And that's not everyone, Tony. That's not a blanket saying I'm going from my personal experience. But it's been great, and it's been great meeting you for that. Good to see you. Yeah, it's a great conversation, and it's good for us to talk about these things. And I think it's, so thank you for that, Yvonne. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you, Michele and Herbie, and then I'm going to bring you in, Fidel. I'm leaving you to last. I'm saving the best. Michele and Herbie.
I would just like to say, as I said earlier, different strokes for different folks. I think that there's been some contradictory comments today bearing in mind what was said a few weeks ago, and throughout some of the things that we've discussed. But I'm looking forward to next week, and yeah, it's been good, always informative, and I enjoy the conversations. So yeah,
Herbie?
Well done, Yvonne.
Yeah. And yeah, it was good today. I enjoyed it. Yeah, everyone's different, men different. We talk about typical black men, but it's not really typical black man. Among my peers, I mean, I'm 55 plus. You know what I mean? And well, and I think I'm quite adventurous. But with my circle of friends or circle of that kind of age group, I think I'm you know what I mean, I'm more a bit more than others. You know what I mean, for what I do, and I don't do that much. You know what I mean, compared to what's going on out there. But yeah, it's really what works for you, to tell the truth. You know what I mean, there's no right and there's no wrong in this. You know what I mean, and it says size, body size, whatever. Some people just attract a certain type, and it's just but it's what works. It's what works for you. What keeps you happy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Fidel, come in and give us your overview of today.
So this has been like I talk about this stuff quite a lot, but this is the first time I've been invited onto a show with an all black panel. Most of the time when I go in and I talk to groups or I talk with groups about sex and so forth, there's very few, if any, black people involved in those conversations at all. So I think it's really, really, really important in order for us to be sexually adventurous, whether that's in a couple, as an individual, or as a societal group. Adventurous sex needs to come in a safe space, right, for men and women. And that's whether it's a conversation or whether it's the actual activity itself. For most people, we need safe spaces. So whether it's a safe space with a relationship with somebody that you trust, whether it's panel shows like this, so people can hear people like us talking about this openly. This would have given a lot of other people confidence to explore their sexuality, just listening to us being sexually open. So I think I've learned that this is something that's really, really needed, and I think this conversation needs to be broadcast on a bigger scale and needs to be had on big platforms for sure. I think it's really important.
Thank you for your input. Right, so there were some questions. We are slightly over time, but there are some questions. Yes, the show is every Tuesday between 10 and midnight. Yes, we always have a panel. I do try to get as many men and many women to have equal. We are looking for some males to join the panel also. And we do have quite a few females on panel, but we do want to get that as equal for the men as well. I'm very grateful to our panel members, every single one of them who contribute every week, and I hear every week without fail. So I do want to thank you. Just to let you know that next week will be a recorded show. The next 2 weeks will be two recorded shows, and on I think it's the 15th it works out to be, we'll be back with a live show which will look a little bit different. We've still got the panel, but it will be a little bit different. I'm taking a bit of a break. I'm taking 2 weeks holiday. So, but there will be shows here. They're already programmed and good to go. So I just want to give you the exact date of when we come back with the live show, and we are coming back with a bang. And it will be the 15th of September. We will be coming back. So I'm hoping that Fidel will join us on panel. And also Chasity has already said, we've got Anita. I think Anita's been talking in the thread as well. She'll be here as well. And we are also looking for one more male sex therapist as well to join us. This series is going to go on. We've got maybe another 2 to 3 to maybe 4 more shows on sex. But the one we're coming back to, we will be looking at toys, sex toys for men and sex toys for women. We are going fully ham. We're going in like Flynn. We are. And so this is what's going to make the show. So we're going to have a bit of a break, and then we're coming back with something. So guys, in the next 2 weeks, gather up your thoughts. gather up all your feelings, and if you've never had an experience with a toy, now is the time to experiment. And if you want to wait for the experts to come and to help us to use the toys to our best advantage within our relationships, then come back in 2 weeks' time. We will be here live on MediaNet TV. We will be on Yvonne Michele TV. We will be on Facebook and both Facebook pages. So we're on 4 different platforms as we are streaming, and we are looking to go even further. We're looking to increase the platforms by another 2. So we are growing. The show is growing. So please do tell your friends, do tell family, tell people, your associates at work. Do let them know about the show. They will learn. Yes, we have a laugh. Yes, we do. But we also, there are some serious moments, and we are learning. And if you see anybody on this who you think you like, please do DM me, and I will hook you up, and you can have conversations, because ultimately that was what the show was about from the beginning: connecting people, connecting single people to find love, to find partnership. So I've got a message here for Fidel from Ruth Carter, who says, Fidel, you've made a great impression. I do want to thank Fidel for joining us today. Thank you so much for being in. Delroy Tollock is saying, thank you all, good show. Thank you, Fidel, for being here. I do hope that we'll see you back in 2 weeks' time on the 15th. I hope you'll be here. I know that Chasity will be here, Anita will be here, and we will have another male sex therapist as well, as we start to look at the toys in the bedroom. Okay, guys, my panel members, I want to thank you for thus far 22 episodes. Thank you as well. 22 episodes every week. I want to thank all of you, especially those who've been here from day one. Tony, you've been here from day one. You've supported this show. Cheryl's been here also from day one. Theo was here from near enough the beginning. As Shalomi, Faye's come in. Michele and Herbie have come in. So I just want to thank everybody. Those of you who are on Facebook, want to thank you for your constant support. Those of you who are on YouTube, thank you for your constant support. And we will be back live with the toy show. Oh yes, Toy Story. We're going to have our own Toy Story.
Good luck, Fidel.
Yeah. I look like I'm going to have to move, I think. And then
you're going to have to come down south.
I don't think we're going to see Fidel again.
Well, Fidel, are you going to be here on the 15th, Fidel? Are you going
I think he'd be worked out by then, man. I think he'd be worked out.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I know what toy I'm buying. I'm buying some sort of I don't know.
We know what toy toy Shalomi's buying as well. So, guys, I bid you a good night. Again, there will be 2 shows in the pipeline, pre-recorded shows for the next 2 weeks, and then we're coming back with a bang on the 15th of September with the live show. So, guys, I want to wish you all well. Have a great rest of the week. Look after yourselves and be happy, be safe. And we will see you again soon. Ciao for now. Guys, goodbye. Say your goodbyes.
Bye. Bye. Stay online, Fidel. Stay on the line. Stay on.
Stay on.
You ready? You got me running. Got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it.